time to put our minds to round number 8 of the season in Spain for Season 10 F1. This circuit has had many memorable moments and many changes throughout the last couple of games. We've had the reprofiled area at the start of Sector 3. We've had the reprofiled chicane now. And this is the second time these Tier 1 drivers will be tackling it in terms of our races. Second time with the second change around the circuit. So, welcome along tonight, folks. I am your commentator, Ryan Searles, and I'm alongside, once again, RPL Tire and Iron. It is good to have you once again.
Definitely, it's good to be here yet again. As you mentioned it, Spain reprofiled, redone, which is going to result in faster racing, and also some laps have been extended. 33 laps of distance for this one. Not sure what it was prior to the new changes. Probably like 29 or something maybe. But yeah, we're going to have a...
Yeah, I think you cut out there. I was going to say, we are going to have a good race, if that's what you're going to say. If that's what you're going to say. Yeah, let's see what happens for tonight's event. Lots of headlines to get to. First, I want to go over the championship standings. We'll go over it once again before the race starts to get everyone caught up who's not on the stream currently. But yeah, Cookie leads by 16 points over Scyther. Scyther mentioned in the driver's chat a little personal stuff going on prior to the race. Prayers to him with that, but hopefully his prayers can be answered today for closing that gap down on Cookie. Korsman is third place, 61 points back of Cookie. Korsman is not here tonight. We'll get to things like that in just a moment. However, the constructor standings are much more closer than the driver standings. Red Bull lead over McLaren on countback. They have more wins, but less podiums than McLaren. Ferrari are 81 points back, and Ferrari are showing that they're still up there in maybe best of the rest in terms of how things are. I think just anyone in Red Bull or McLaren just seems to pull away, as shown last week with Cookie and Scyther. In last week's race in Monaco, Titan, we had Cookie win and add his name to that illustrious list. Every season, there's been a different Monaco Grand Prix winner, and Cookie's now a part of that. Scyther stopped his pole streak as well, and he put himself on a pole position. He finished second, while Reece Dainty took third place, even after the contact with Be Good that got sent to the steward's office.
Yeah, completely true. Cookie shining yet again, showing his stride. So, and what is essentially basically a really great season for him. Unfortunately, like you said, his streak for consecutive poles have ended, courtesy of Scyther last week at Monaco. But we're still pretty early into the season. We're basically close to a third of the way in. So, I mean, Cookie has plenty of opportunities to restart his consecutive pole streak, and I mean, I'm still standing by my prediction from last week. I think he can break that record. It's possible. I think he could do it.
Now he needs to reset and go again. We still have, I believe, one driver we're waiting on. I've not checked the driver's chat. However, one thing I have checked is the headlines, changes, and penalties to be served. Let's go all over that. We've got a breaking story that heads into the weekend about a certain driver we had in here before, Leighton, banned. We don't need to go too much into that, but he was reserved for Tier 1. He raced in Vegas, his last start here for this tier. George had a Tier 1 Alpha contract. Now he's a part of Ferrari, so that should be interesting to see, and especially with that change to PC, how he's going to do there. PC seems to gain a lot of drivers' time. We'll find out if he can take his best ever finish tonight in RPL Tier 1 would be P4. Luke, contract resolved. Now going to Alpine, full-time. Josh, this is big from him. He was reserving in Aston Martin last week on loan. Well, now he's a part of that area of Mercedes Academy full-time. He changed from the Ferrari Academy to the Mercedes Academy. He's also the co-team principal. J&T became the academy assistant before becoming the team principal now at Ferrari because Jack stepped down. He had his Tier 1 contract terminated. J&T part of the Ferrari Academy now. Jack steps down from Ferrari TP. We mentioned Lennon, no longer co-team principal. That goes to Gecko. Jack loaned to McLaren. The news just never stops. And by the way, because of contact last week with multiple drivers, Be Good racked up too many penalties, and he is going to be having a qualifying ban. Andrea making his RPL debut. He's been in some big leagues as well. It's good to see him here. I've seen his name a little bit all over. So welcome to RPL. You're in Alfa Romeo tonight, my friend, alongside the team principal, J&T. And just other names to mention, we've got FRC Knights full-time now in Tier 1 at Haas. Florian is back after not being here last week. Jackster in Alpine reserving. Bourbon reserving for AlphaTauri. Tadpole reserving in Alpine. And Zatsi reserving in Haas. And I think that's it for our changes, headlines, or penalties to be served for tonight. Only one qualifying ban.
Yeah, it's gonna be quite wild indeed. A lot of crazy changes, as you mentioned. Luke going to gonna be in Alpine. Jack stepping down as the team principal of Ferrari.
Good luck to
I
all
think
three
you
of
also, I'm not sure if you mentioned it, but also Jack is also going to be, I just want to be sure here, firstly. Yep. Jack also is going to be driving in Alpine. It'll be done after this race is completed. And after Endurance, which tomorrow is in Miami, if my memory is correct, Jack is going to be in McLaren for Formula Endurance.
And that's different because he's going to have a chance at the championship now rather than being on an Alfa Romeo and having an outside chance from 3rd or 4th place. This circuit can rain sometimes. Let's see what things look like as we head to Q1. Last season in Q1, it was Reese Dainty being knocked out of the session after trouble with Owen. And Owen made that mistake when he hit the pit lane bump, and it sent him out very wide into that kitty litter. Came back on. Didn't realize Reese Dainty was right there, and kabam. That's what happened in Q1. Hopefully no one gets eliminated like that this time. But, yep, 18 minutes, 19 drivers. Any thoughts into Q1 here, Tightener, on the circuit? We're going to it back-to-back with Monaco for the 2nd season running.
This is going to be quite interesting. I mean, this track is quite unique in its setting. Just curious to see who's going to be shining bright in regards to the qualifying and who is not going to in regards to it. As you mentioned earlier, Be Good is going to be starting dead last because of a qualifying ban that he got for curing too many penalty points and causing a bunch of problems. But yeah, Q1 underway, and currently the first 2 cars out on deck is the Alfa Romeo pair. And it is J&T, the team principal, the new team principal for Ferrari, if I should just say
that sounds
correctly.
weird.
And Andrea, brand new debuting driver. I'm curious to see how he is going to handle in his Tier 1
Should
debut.
go with him, maybe. Yeah, that would be interesting. I've just got confirmation from the possible future top 3 from what one of them believe. I don't remember who said it, but Cookie, Scyther, and Reese in the same voice chat once again for, I think, the 5th week in a row now, it feels like. They believe, obviously, they're going to be the top 3, but they confirmed to me that there is no rain whatsoever in tonight's event. We're going to have Bourbon be the first one across the line, then J&T, but I'm going to have you go on board with Andrea, Titan. I mean, he's been in some big leagues, as far as I'm aware. Some well-known ones. An Xbox driver compared to some of our PC drivers here tonight. He's in an Alfa Romeo, which has 1 podium to their name in this game cycle in Tier 1. Don't think you'd add another one tonight, but a team that has 1 point this season, you want to kind of accumulate some more now, and this is your perfect opportunity to do so on your debut.
Yeah, I agree completely. Yes, as I'm on board with with Andreas. He's making through the long sweeping right-hander at turn number 3 to finish off sector number 1. 21.6 to kick it off for him. Not bad at all. As he makes his way through turn 4. Now into turn number 5. Getting down into gears. Keeping it third. Nice and easy onto the power. Up the gears. Through 6. Now heading into TV8 of turn 7 and 8. That little kink right there as he just went through could cause some problems. If you're not careful, the blind right hand of turn 9, quite infamous of track limits, down the DRS straight, down on the power, in through the gears, makes his way through the new turn 10, now into turn 11, as he gets up to the gears now up to 13 and 14, the new pieces of the track. Bourbon sets the benchmark 12.2. Let's see how the newcomer does. J&T 12.4. And Andrea comes across 11.9. That is not bad at all for him.
I mean, that AlphaTauri is not the best around this circuit, and let alone in any circuit. So and Bourbon's a really fast driver. He's a previous winner here in Tier 1. The fact that Andrea on his first lap can maybe get safely through with that lap, I don't know. That's pretty impressive to see. I'm glad to see that. TB's coming across for second. Tadpole fifth, who is coming across for a lap here. I think someone just started a lap. It was Shanghai. I'll go on board with him. I'll give it to you halfway through. Turn number 1 here. Let's see how late you can brake. There'll be some late lunges there, surely. Track limits can be a thing at turn 2. Turn 3, you don't want to turn on the battery there in terms of the race. Track limits can be a very key factor there. Sector 1 split 21.9. Turn 4, tough to get on the power. You got to be very careful in terms of that area. Turn number 5, though, variety of different lines you can take when battling your competitors. Now, here he comes, Shanghai, to the turn 6, 7 area, and then 8. Just a tricky section. You can make a mistake there. You can go out wide. Turn 9, you said, very famous for track limits. I just learned the corner name right before this. It's Kamsa. So, we're going to see, after you go through Kamsa, down to turn 10 here, how much speed some of these drivers are going to have, because that's one of your overtaking opportunities. And now the final couple of corners, which 2 of them in the last couple games have been reprofiled.
Absolutely, completely, as Shanghai making his way through the penultimate corner and into the final corner, just flat out of that final corner as he comes across the line. Puts it 5th fastest with a 12.9. Not bad for the Williams. He's a 10th up on his teammate. As you mentioned, though, some of the corners was reprofiled. 13, the brand new turns 13 and 14. They weren't in last game. We had the reprofile turn 10 in last game, but we had that really awkward looking chicane that it was a bit wild. But I think my memory's right. Comparing last game to this one with the reprofile differences, this game's Spain lap time, I believe if my memory's right, is roughly about 4 or 5 seconds faster than they were last game.
Yeah, there's a good chance. That corner, which is the last corner now, different corner name, or not corner name, corner number, turn 14. We're watching to see if any of those drivers do go flat out there. You got some good points there. I think Bourbon thinks he's safe, which is a little shocking. However, I just want to mention, we spoke about the Williams boys not too long ago. We had Minico back out back off of a lap, because of a mistake he had. The thing I want to mention that we saw right before then was Williams drivers going P6 and P7. If they end up getting 2 points tonight, they will take 200 points all time for Tier 1, which would be an amazing accomplishment for a team that just never seems to get a lot. Cookie's coming across the line, and then we'll have someone start a lap soon. But I want to watch what he can do here, because this could set the benchmark for what will be safe and what won't be safe. 11.4, top of the board for Cookie. Next is the Chiller. We'll watch him on a lap. Now, that's the easiest way you want to set up a lap with what you just saw from Cookie, really. On that flying lap, flat out, or just about flat out, through that last corner, and don't turn too much, because the turning through that last corner, is a hell of a lot different on this game than it would be in previous games. You gotta nail that last corner, and you don't want to turn in too much, but you also don't want to turn in too little. Darius is doing a 21-7th of the first sector, and right now he's one of multiple drivers not to have a lap in. He's been criticized recently for his performances in Aston Martin, and let me just mention about him. I know last week was not the greatest, but let's keep in mind, though, about DeChiller, a Tier 1 champion before, highest in the driver standings without a podium, P6, okay? I know he was in a Red Bull at first. I know he's transferred to Aston Martin, a car that should get on the podium at least once this season. However, as he's now going through Sector 3, you got to remember with DeChiller, although he's not in the car right now, although he's had some consistency issues, he's sliding right now. The fact of the matter with him is once he gets some momentum, he usually doesn't stop. And right now, he doesn't have any momentum because he made a little mistake on that lap and is now coming into the pit lane.
Yeah, you got a little too close to the inner curb in turn 11, and he got a little loose and a little bit of snap on him. But yeah, as you were mentioning, the chiller, I mean, there's times that he is really good. He gets himself in focus and in tune. But there are other times that he has had spurts of bad luck. I mean, yeah, he is a Tier 1 champion, the first Tier 1 champion. Reese goes second fastest with 11.5. Very nice for him. But yeah, with the Chiller, he has his moments. He is one of the OG racing members of RPL. But, I mean, people will argue he is way too inconsistent. But, I mean, he has his moments. He has good strides. Other times he has bad luck. You just never know what will happen.
Yeah, and I think Reese just was almost compromised by Cam. I don't think we'll see anything in terms of the steward's office there, but Cam on inners doing a test lap and getting another chance again in Ferrari. Last week crashed out in Monaco. We'll see what he takes advantage of this time. We've got Tadpole coming across the line on a lap now for Alpine. I think yesterday was a much better showing in Tier 2, and now you surely got to wonder, the driver with the most P4s, 3 of them to be exact, you got to wonder, when is the next P4 coming? He had, I think, all 3 of those P4s in a span of 4 or 5 races at the end of Season 8. So I really do wonder with a driver like this, who's now improving by 9/10, of course, with that unrepresentative first lap, you got to wonder, when is that next good finish coming? He's not had a points finish in RPL Tier 1 since Mexico at the end of last season, a ridiculous amount of time, but he's due for some good luck here as he jumps that curb a little bit. You got to be careful with those curbs right there. You can't go over them. They will cost you. They lose you so much time. Rear wing open after turn 9. We go to turn 10. He is improving. So where he lost that first amount of time to have him 5 seconds off the top time, it seems like all that came from Sector 3, and that's where his mistake was. But so far, a clean lap, not the best ones. After this, we'll go on board with Scyther, I believe, or whoever the next one is coming across. But Tadpole in the final corner now. He applies DRS, and this should be safe for now. It is. Out of the guys who've done laps, he is right now in an area that would get him safe.
Yeah, definitely. And as you were mentioning, Tadpole, he has he has some great moments, and then there was some other moments where he has like bad luck. I mean, think back to Season 7 and also during Season 8, where Tadpole, I would have said bluntly, was probably one of the unluckiest RPL drivers during that time period, because I think I can probably count at least 6 times, maybe more, that Tadpole was involved in a Tier 1 race and didn't even make it to the end of lap 1 because he wanted to get into a wreck or getting DNF'd. I mean,
yeah,
at that point, Tadpole had literally a lap 1 curse, and I felt so sorry for him having that unlucky string of bad luck. It was just wild.
I get it. I hear you. Speaking of unluckiness, Cam is someone who's had some unluckiness, but he's also had some of it at his own expense. We had Baku, we had Monaco, he's been in a Ferrari, but now we're not on any streets. I mean, this circuit may be turned into a street circuit, at least in terms of, well, I should say this circuit, I should say this country, at least with racing in it in F1 in the next few years. Obviously, Madrid announced not too long ago, so obviously Cam just wants to get away from street circuits.
Ooh.
He's going wide, and somehow still going. Let's see if he aborted that or not. He needs to get a lap in. I don't think he's aborting it, though. The fact of the matter is he can sit here, and he can go P7, P8-ish area and get a good amount of time. The thing that Scyther mentioned not too long ago prior to this race is the car split between everyone in qualifying. It's really close around here, but when it comes to the race, it is one of the most car-dependent tracks out there, and the car spread, it's insane in race pace. So let's see what Cam can do for his qualifying pace in Q1 to try to get him out of the bottom 5 for right now. Final couple corners he goes. Do we see flat out in the last corner? The answer is almost. Here he comes to the line. This should be up in the top 5 area. It's 8th, just behind George by 100th. Fair play to both Ferrari drivers with mistakes to start this session. And George, an improvement from him to get up in the top 10 for them when it's much needed.
Absolutely. And since you were mentioning about with Cam having some unlucky moments in Baku and in Monaco, if you guys are unaware, on our YouTube channel, just a couple of days ago, we actually just released a new video, the third installment of RPL out of context moments.
Yes.
And one of them involves this race, this event last season, when Reese got inadvertently killed by Owen during qualifying. And it was probably one of the most wildest, unluckiest, and a bit funny moments in that season. I mean, just hearing Owen just going like, "Oh dear, oh dear," something like that. It was just...
Some of the clips in there.
The others just chewing them out.
Don't matter who it is, right? Some of the clips just want to bring tears to your eyes 'cause how funny it is.
And the funniest part is Reese, literally, just even though being killed like that, he was so
so mad
chill about it.
first,
He just goes,
but then so
"What are you
chill right
doing?
after, yeah.
What are you doing?"
By the way, I want to get back to this session for a moment because I want to mention, you just mentioned Reese. He has the fastest second sector. His teammate Cookie has the fastest first sector. And Cam has the fastest final sector. Excuse me, I was just about to butcher that. But 2 minutes and a little more remain in the session. And our bottom 5 is made up of the first ever Tier 1 winner, I believe. No, excuse me, that's wrong. That was Tyler Fish. For second ever Tier 1 winner, Zatsi, who's on a lap now. 2 Williams of Shanghai and Zakaria. Williams did get eliminated in Q1 last season. Jackster for Alpine, and I'm not even going to say the current name, but I'm going to say Be Good because that's what his actual name has been since he started here. I feel like I'm getting Annex vibes from how many times he's changed his name with the way things have started off. He's got a qualifying ban. He's going to be 20th, and he'll try a last to first challenge. Zatsy's backed off, though, so we're not going to see anything representative with him. We're going to go on board with Shanghai, who does not take the final corner flat, but sees his competitors 12th and up starting to retire, believing they are safe, and he will be our last hot lap here. I'll take it to you, Titan, here after turn 3, because I want to get turn 1 through 3 here, which will be very critical on our start here, and just is very critical for mistakes here. You don't need any of it, but if this is exactly where this Williams might need to find time, it might be starting right here.
Yeah, absolutely. Shanghai making his way down into turn number 4. Just a slight... Oh!
My!
Yeah,
Wow.
well, unfortunately, I think that's the end of Shanghai. Unless he can get back to the line in time, then he should be okay to just go another run.
Wow. The good thing for him is he's got a better chance to do so with this remodeled circuit because there's, you know, kind of less time available. Florian puts it 11th fastest. Zakaria's on a lap. And Alfa Romeo's coming across the line. J&T Gaming's going to make sure he can get himself out of any risk of being eliminated. We're going to watch the rest of Zakaria's lap now. There's still 2 more to come across the line. Jexter's one of them. The next one is Tadpole on a lap. But here comes Zakaria, turn number 9. Now to turn 10. Zakaria was an Aston Martin at the race here last season. And he had an okay run in terms of pace, but just not everything went his way. And right now, you've got Zakaria only improving by 500ths. You can see the skid marks on the runoff from Cam earlier, but Zakaria comes to the final corner just about flat out. Had to let off quite a bit. He comes across the line now and will not be through. Jackster's on a lap, and he's only improving in the first sector by a little less than a 10th.
Yeah. Yeah, so unfortunately Zakaria is gonna be out. Unfortunately, Zatsi, who's just about to come across the line and will be the first one to end it for the qualifying, and he is still staying 16th, so I think Zatsi unfortunately is going to be out of this. J&T coming across the line. He improves but stays in 14th place. Tadpole needs to get out of that buffer zone, and he improves but still sits in that buffer zone. So the only 2 drivers that can beat him is Jaxa and Shanghai. Here comes Jaxa across the line, and it is, 16th just misses out. So that leaves just Shanghai left, and he just goes for a spin in turn 11, full 360. He's okay, but unfortunately his lap is officially done and dusted. So
He was on a
Shanghai
second lap
tried again
as well.
Just couldn't do it. Just couldn't get it.
He was on a second lap as well, and he was improving by a 10th right there, so he had much more time to find Shirley. And just to put this into context for you guys, Tadpole, who got a better time, he found 2 10ths in that last sector when he was down a 10th on the lap. That was how critical it was to get out of the bottom 5. He finally has had something go his way, but the 2 Alpines, I think, are the big shock with how far down they are. Only one of them's getting through, and the ones eliminated in that relegation zone does include Jackster, Zatsi, Shanghai, Zakaria, and Be Good, who did not get a lap in because he has a qualifying ban to serve from too many penalty points. Q1 is done and dusted. The top time is 11:4.
Yeah, 11:4 is the main time. Red Bull 1-2, by the way. And looking at the and two interesting notes for this Q1 session. We didn't touch much on them since their laps. Minico P5 and the newcomer Andrea being P6. Really good for him.
Yeah, lots of credit for some of these drivers in Q1 who maybe exceeded expectations. And even both Ferraris just being near each other, that's the good thing for them with kind of a brand new way of things after the way Monaco went for them. Jack no longer the TP. He stepped down. I didn't think he really wanted to be the TP anyway, but they had 4 Academy cars, DNF, out of the race in a span of the second half of the race last week. It was not good. So, yep, we got 11-4 on top. And Andrea, I'd say that's my surprise of the session, outperforming that car. Both Avataris up there close to the top 10. TB just barely in the top 10. And our bottom 5 once again, Jexter, Zetsi, Shanghai, Zakaria, and Be Good, your bottom 5. 2 Williams out. The rest of the teams are still available to make their name heard in Q2 here.
Very true indeed. And I was just checking the RPL driver chat. I'm not sure if they're like joking around or anything, or maybe they have a little wager going on. But TB just basically just went to Minico and said that basically just said to Minico that if I get knocked out in Q2, Minico can have its seat in Mercedes.
Yeah, TB has been the only one to score points in every race this season, but he's not been on podium in quite a while, at least in terms of how he started out the season. You'd think with how he started out the season with a couple of podiums that he would have been on it a lot more often, but it's just not the case.
Yeah.
He's done really well for those points, though. Just want to mention, by the way, he's one who's done every race. Cookie's done every race. I mean, he's the only one to score points every race this season. And just want to put this in perspective because you mentioned Minico. Minico originally was the highest driver in the championship without any penalty points. Well, now after his performance in Monaco, goes to Josh now. Josh, then Minico, with the driver highest in the championship, P9, without any penalty points. So fair credit right there to those guys keeping it clean.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I will say currently at the moment, in regards to like the midfield teams with like Aston Martin, Alpha, Alpine and stuff, I I mean I might be getting a way bit ahead of myself in this regard, but I would see Minico as probably as like the bit of like the as bit of a favorite going into basically finishing the highest in the championship among the midfield cars.
Possible.
I think, I mean, heck, if even push comes to shove in the right set, maybe, perhaps one of the big three teams, plus McLaren, if their 2024 car is as good as the big three, I would say probably those four teams could be eyeing Minico for a seat in season 11.
Let's see what happens. We got Bourbon on a lap right now coming through turn number 5. Little squirrely from him. He's dealt with this car before. He's dealt with Red Bull as well. And in fact, he does have a podium in the most recent RPL season prior to this, season 9, and also some appearances in Q3 for AlphaTauri. Let's see once again if he can outperform this car. 50.8 in the second sector. Now comes through here. This is a corner where you can take a variety of different lines too. Again, you can go right toward the curbs. You can go right toward the other curbs as well, which is going to use that to his advantage. 2 more corners remaining. Flat out there. And almost flat out here. He's spinning. He's spinning. He's off the wall, and he's going to get a lap in, though, at least, which is good. And he's still in the session, 13-3. There's other cars coming across the line. Scyther's one of them. Jack's the next one. Jack's starting a lap. We'll go on board with Jack, but everyone getting in their laps now. Minico's there as well. Jack just got a slipstream from Scyther.
Yeah, very true indeed. And, oh, jeez, that Alpha.
That Alfa Romeo, around certain circuits, can be sneaky good. So this should not be too big of a surprise, but Andrea does deserve the credit because besides being in other leagues that are up there, we have no other knowledge of him.
Yeah.
It was unfortunate.
It's quite interesting, to be fair. Currently on board with Jack as he's making his way through the TV8 section.
I want to see if you see something here. We have a glitch like last season with the safety car. It's not the safety car this time, but do you see how Florian's ahead of Tadpole, yet he's 1,000th slower? Isn't that weird?
I just noticed that.
That is weird. Okay, continue with Jack. Sorry to cut you off.
So Jack, back on board with him. He's currently through the penultimate corner, now into the final corner. Does he let off? Yes, he does, just a tiny bit. As he rockets his way down the line, and he's 4th fastest, 11.8. And put in comparison, the next person up, TB, who's in 3rd, Jack 12 thousandths behind him.
Interesting. Well, we have Cookie and Restain T, both Red Bulls yet to set laps. They're on laps right now. Let's see what they make of it. Speaking of them teammates, we had teammates collide in this race last season. Both Aston Martins. It was George and Crispy. But now Cookie's coming through the final sector, 50.1 right there. This is looking almighty good to get him safely into Q3, as he always seems to do. Now the final 2 corners he goes. Do we see flat out from this Red Bull? Yes, we do! Here he comes across the line now. Cookie's going to set an 11.2, 3.5 tenths faster than Andrea. Reese is next, and then we'll get Cam on a lap. Reese, the teammate, what's it going to be? He was close in Q1, Q2, 2 tenths off, but still 2nd place to make it a Red Bull 1-2. And now we go to Cam, who needs to get himself on a lap, and on a valid one at that. 21.7, part of this bottom 5. So is his teammate. Both them, the only 2 yet to set laps.
I completely agree. And, you know, since Cookie put in the fastest right now with 11.2, I'm actually going to say one thing. I'm actually going to go a bit ahead of myself, and predict what pole time is going to be. I think with Cookie doing 11.2, I would not be surprised if we actually see pole uh, basically between 10.95 to 11 flat.
Yeah, I would not be surprised either. I mean, we have an 11-2 at the top of our board right now. That was the time in Q2 last season. I think we're just slightly slower. Speaking of Cam, he is going to be slightly faster than the Chiller. And this should get him safe into the next round for now. His teammates out on track as well. Reese Dainty's on an in lap. Bourbon trying to go back out a part of the bottom 5. That lap, obviously, has a lot of improvement to be made in it. I'm going to look at the pole time from last season just so we can judge on that. I believe it was Scyther who took pole. The answer is yes. It was Scyther over TB and Red Bull. The gap for pole was nearly 5 tenths, and it was a 10.7. 10.79.
Dang. That's not bad at all.
All right, here's Bourbon. Turn 1 is complete, but turn 2 is part of the runoff, and that's where he has just gone onto and messed this one up. We're switching to George, because George, a top car in the bottom 5, we're not used to seeing that often. You need some crazy circumstances to have that happen, like Brazil at the end of last season with rain, Baku with rain approaching, and any driver crashing out in that sense, which you'd usually have happen in Monaco. But George, in that switch to PC, has found some good pace. He's at a 21.6. PC does give you some better grip, better tire wear. And this is exactly what he needs being in this Ferrari. He's been able to try to go a soft-medium strategy or really unexpected strategy since moving over to PC, which wouldn't have been likely on Xbox now. A driver who's been a part of Tier 2 before. He has some wins to his name. Most wins, in fact, tied with 2 other drivers without a championship in Tier 2. He came just short of that title last season. But now, this season, moving to Ferrari for right now. And looks to showcase his pace right now in Q2. He didn't have the best of laps in Q1. But the goal should be right near your teammate now. Just flat out. Wow. And he is ahead of his teammate. Look at that. Fastest in the final sector.
Yeah, and the wild part is that he is basically exactly 0.175 seconds ahead of his teammate, and George sitting in 5th is actually pretty dang impressive. But now currently looking at the bottom 5 right now. It is Tadpole, Minico, Knights, J&T, and Bourbon.
Minico just picked up a slipstream and a really good assist at that, considering he's only out of the bottom 5 by just a little bit. By Cookie, 3 tenths up in the second sector. This should solidify him into Q3. The answer is yes! My gosh! Right there, in between Reese and Andrea, in the Aston Martin, this car should be getting a podium at some point this season, and this might be exactly why. He needs that first podium in RPL. He had a chance in FE before. The race that he did in Britain just showcases the lap he did right there, outperforming himself and getting himself up on the grid. He was in a Ferrari at the time, leading the race, got screwed over late, didn't win it. Australia is another race. He felt like he got screwed over. He's had 2 P4s, but I'm not going to say today could be the day, but that car is still sneaky good around circuits too, just like the Alfa Romeo, and can help him soon here. Knights, P10 for Haas. The gap between 10th and 11th to get into Q3 is now 6 thousandths tight, and this is getting closer.
It is getting close, and it's getting really tight. Now, if I'm probably looking at the drivers now. Not sure how much time is left because there is, I think it's
440.
Cam. Yeah, Cam going a little slow in turn number 10. 440 left to go. I would probably say in regards to the last run, I would say, truth be told, I would probably say TB, Jack, Cam, and Knights should probably be going out to get another lap done, because, I mean, well, definitely with Knights and Cam. those two are probably the most serious ones at risk. TB and Jack, they could be at risk, but it's like a low chance. But I wouldn't. I would probably go out just to be safe.
By the way, Miniko said that lap where he got slipstream right there, that actually affected him more than helping him. So, interestingly enough, he said the slipstream was unnecessary from Cookie, but I think it's necessary to be talking about Cam, who's 500s up. And yeah, you spoke about that bubble area where Knights is on it. Cam and Jack and TB, they're all above it. I mean, you're going to probably need an 11.9, maybe. I mean, definitely better than a 12.03 for sure to advance at this rate, but I feel like you're just going to need an 11.9 for sure to advance. But with Cam, you're in a Ferrari, you shouldn't be at an 11.9 right now, and he's making sure that by going 4/10 quicker in the second sector as of the current moment, and he's been one of these impressive drivers, I would say, when he gets a top chance in... Oh, no. In RPL, I was just going to say he ends up proving himself, but right there, that's not going to do it. He needs to go in and get a new set of tires because he just invalidated right there. And that lap, if he continued, would have maybe set him second fastest.
Oh yeah, being 4/10 up, yeah, he would probably sandwich Cookie and Reese, or if he had a little bit more in regards to the third sector, he probably could have overtaken Cookie if luck had it. I didn't know one driver that's not going to be participating in Q2 anymore is Bourbon. Bourbon is done, so I mean, technically at the moment he's going to be looking to start 12th, or he could be starting as worse as 15th in regards to whip. But I'm currently right now on with Florian, and yep, you are as well. Just checking my screen on my laptop.
You're all good.
Yeah, as Florian, as we're going through his basically one of his final laps as he's making his way through now into turn number 4, not improving in sector 1, but there's sector 2 and 3 that he can work on. Knights has called it, so that's another one that's going to be out of Q number 2. Ooh, very close with that Alfa Romeo J&T, but Florian maintains composure and keeps it going as he makes his way through that blind right of turn 9. DRS applied, flying his way down, gets to the braking zone, 190 miles an hour into turn number 10, exiting out of it. Now into turn 11. Let's see what he's going to be capable of doing. He's 13th at the moment. He needs to beat an 11.9 to put himself forward into Q number 3 as he goes just a tiny bit off the throttle in the final corner, coming across the line, and he does do that. 11.8. Puts him 10th right now, but he's in the serious bubble as Cameron is back down another lap. J&T is starting his lap, and Tadpole is out on his as well.
Cam, Tadpole, J&T, the only ones who can say something about that. And by the way, I was talking about Cam's time at 11.9. You definitely need more than that now to improve to get to the top 10. It's an 11.8. Checkered flag's about to wave soon. Scyther on track, a part of that top 6 area. He's doing laps to look for race pace at this point. He's very high on his fuel. J&T is someone who's low on his fuel because he is now improving and trying to give it his all. He is someone we'll watch up until Sector 2 here, I believe, or end of Sector 2, I believe, because we have guys now about to cross the line to complete laps, which will be vital. We have a McLaren of Scyther, who is still staying out, but J&T, one of the next ones to come across the line. This will be crucial for him to improve a lot here. It's a 10th in the second sector he's up, but he will have to find more time in order to get himself into Q3 and do it safely. The time you're going to need, it's going to be right near Florian's. He's going to need a lot more to improve some places, and then a lot more than that to get to Q3. Here comes J&T off the final corner. DRS applied to the line. First race is team principal with the checker flag waving. Will only be a small improvement, but nice to see him, though, at least only a second off of Cookie with that being said. Next across the line, TB trying to make sure he does not get knocked out. He's close to being knocked out. He's also going to be close to Cookie. Fastest in the final sector. He splits both Red Bulls, and that is exactly the momentum he needs because he qualified second here last season on that Red Bull. Also, Tadpole's backed out of it. Tadpole's done. Tadpole will be eliminated. Also, someone who could be eliminated soon here is Cam, but he's improving just a little bit. Florian backed out of this one. He's one of the only other ones to try to hold on. Scyther is spinning. He's one of our only other competitors on track, but now it's up to Cam.
Yeah, Cam midway through the last few corners, he just has to be basically half a tenth up of Florian to make it through. Just has to make sure he doesn't invalidate. He comes out of the final corner nice and easy and comes across, takes second from TV. 11-3 makes it through. So that ends the Alpha Tauris of Bourbon and Florian, the Haas of Knights, the Alpine of Tadpole, and the first Alfa Romeo of G&T, while his teammate, the debuting Andrea, has gone through to Q3 in his first ever appearance.
Fair play, Andrea. Welcome to Q3 in RPL. Welcome to RPL. I know you haven't practiced a lot, but good to see you here. With that being said, it was an 11-2 to an 11-7 in order to get through into Q3. Our drivers who are through include both Red Bulls, both Ferraris, both McLarens. Shout out to Aston Martin. Both of them through as well. They've not had the best of starts either. They needed something to work out here, and they have that right now with Minico and the Chiller. Also through as well includes Andrea. You said he's the lone Alfa Romeo, and also by himself for Mercedes, the fake TB. Can he provide a real enough lap to get him in that top 3 once again? He is one of 3 different teams representing that top 3. Once again, it's Cookie Cam TB. In the relegation zone, eliminated and knocked out of qualifying include both AlphaTauris of Bourbon and Florian. Knights as well for Haas. No surprise there with that car. Tadpole for Alpine. Didn't improve. J&T for Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, very true indeed. But I mean, I'm shocked with the Aston Martin of Minico and the Alfa Romeo of Andrea. They are doing really good in regards to this qualifying. But now here we are for Q3, and I am going to take my prediction on who I think is going to be where in regards to who they're going to be. And instead of doing the top 3, I'm going to expand just slightly to the top 5. So
Okay.
I'm thinking pole. I'm going to say is going to be an 11-0 set by Cookie. He is going to be pole position.
Don't you mean
Cam,
10-0?
yeah, 11-0 is I'm predicting pole from
No,
Cookie.
I said, don't you mean 10-0? Because that was the pole time last season.
Huh?
I said,
Possible,
don't
yeah.
you mean 10-0? Because that was the pole position time last season. Q2 was 11-2.
Oh. Yeah.
There you go.
I don't know.
10-0, though. I get what you mean now. Just want to make sure before you
Anyway,
get corrected from someone
Cookie
else
is going to be pole. Cam, I think, is going to be the surprise and probably steal P2. Third, I think third is going to be Scyther. Reese is going to be just nipped of third by Scyther. I say between third and fourth, it's probably going to be only 0.04 of a second separating the two. And fifth, I'm actually going to take a very ballsy critical choice. I'm going to say Minico will be 5th place.
Interesting. Both Astons start a lap now. Minico, the first one to cross the line. I'm going to say pole time will be, you said 10-7? I'm going to go one better. I'm going to say 10-6. A tenth better than last season. Minico's the first one on a lap, and if a mistake happens here, the Chiller is right there and could be caught out by it. Here comes Minico. I'll give it to you in Sector 2, but these first laps likely going to be on used tires. The first sector, 21.7. That's similar to what we've been seeing in the recent sessions. Let's see if the rest of the sector improves.
Oh, actually, I didn't mean 10-7. I said 11-0. That's why I said was the pole, not 11-7.
Okay, I see.
Yes.
All right. Well,
must have been wording.
there you go. You corrected yourself there. All right. I'll go with 10-6 still. I'll go with 10-6. I think it'll be a 10th improvement from last season because Scyther was in a Ferrari. And the Ferrari so far from what we've seen tonight, it's been well, but not as well as these Red Bulls, and even the Aston Martins being the shocking surprise. Can Minico get himself his best qualifying yet inside the top 3? He's going to be first on our boards for right now because he's the first one across the line. Here he comes, the benchmark, 11.8, the Chiller across the line next. He will have an invalidated lap time. Andrea's next. Andrea, 11.6, 2/10 better. Next is the 2 McLarens. Jack starts a lap, Scyther completes a lap, and Scyther goes 11.3. Next is the Red Bull. That's Cookie, 10.8. 10.8 is the time to beat here at the top of the table. Next is Reese. Can Reese also start a lap without invalidating? He does. Next is the Ferraris. They're starting laps too. The Chiller has had a mistake on the second lap, so then we go to Jack.
Well, now I'm retracting back what I said. I'll go with 10-7 now.
Yeah. I'm going to invite George while we're doing this right now. Jack is now coming through turn number 5 and setting himself up for the 6, 7, 8 section. And like I said before, he's going to need an improvement. We'll find out if it happens. I said he's going to need an improvement because the fact that he was off a little bit in Q2 compared to Q1, but it's nice to see him at least close to Scyther from what we've seen thus far. 50.5 in the second sector. While I'm covering Jack, can you get George an invite to the game? He's going to need it. Jack, here he comes. The final 2 corners. Spotlight's on him, where he didn't finish so well here last season, but can he change it this season? In qualifying thus far, 4th place. Now here comes Reese. Race Dainty could not get to Q3 last season in this race, but right now he will be 2nd fastest. The Ferrari of Cam is 4th fastest. The Mercedes of TB slots himself right in between Scyther and Cam, and the only ones not to complete a lap include George and the Chiller.
Yeah, and what happened with the Chiller was that he went wide in the final corner, which meant not only was the first lap that he did invalidated, but the very next lap that he had was also invalidated as well. I saw in the chat with one of the drivers' chats that George asked us for an invite. I'll just be brutally honest. I think you might have to do that if you have his PC, because I don't have his PC thing on there. I only have his Xbox on mine.
I do have the Xbox, but I don't know why the PC is not showing because I had him added. Maybe he gone offline and it's not showing because of that. I'll check now.
Yeah, you might need to check that part. There's currently no one out. There's no one on the lap that's improving on their sections.
So I could do that now.
Yeah.
Usually it'd show online or offline, but it doesn't show either. So I thought I had him added on there, but I don't, I guess. I'm surprised I don't. I thought I did. Well, I'm gonna have to do that before each race.
Maybe
get the PC
maybe
names
it's possible you did like the add as EA friend, but probably
Maybe.
when it comes to adding EA friends, they don't pop up on your thing until he accepts it first.
Right, maybe. I don't know. Invites and requests. In manage game invites and requests. I mean, there's nothing right there. So George, if you can request to get in through the streamer account, that'd be great. But now I see him. There we go. I can get him.
All right, good.
Good. We are good on that. Yeah, I still think 10-6 for a pole time is possible if Cookie can improve. I mean, these first laps looked awful from some people. And I hate to say that because I didn't even think the gap to Cookie would be that much. I thought it'd be 2 or 3 tenths, not even 4.5 tenths, which is basically what the gap was to second place in qualifying last season. Some memorable moments to go through from this circuit. You know, we've had TB lose out on a victory here before due to one of the Academy cars at Ferrari causing a safety car, throwing the race in Scyther's favor. And speaking of Scyther, we should mention his circuit history around here because he has the most wins of anybody at 3. Red Bull have 4 as a team, and in terms of poles around this circuit, the only one who can repeat and the only one who's had repeated pole positions includes Scyther. Red Bull have 4 around this circuit, Mercedes have 2, Ferrari have 1. But now we have Andrea, who has 1 Q3 appearance in his first start. And that 1 Q3 appearance is now time to prove himself if he can improve even more. He's down on the time right now by just a little bit. So he has a lot more to go around this circuit. Still 10 more turns where he can negotiate his way through and find some time. This section right here, tricky for track limits. He's lucky he wasn't 4 tires out there. He almost was. And below halfway on that battery in terms of percent is something that will cost you. So we'll watch how that ends up being for him. Andrea is now coming through the final sector as he comes to the sector split. He is improving by a little bit. So this would currently get him ahead of Cam. But I'm sure he'd like to be a little bit more ahead of Cam in terms of getting himself safe ahead of both Aston Martins. That's who he's competing against for tonight's Q3 session. The final corner is flat out from him. Coming across the line, does that make him improve? The answer is yes, but he only improved on the lap time by 0.02.
Yeah, it looks like he lost a little bit somewhere in that sector 3, but I mean, and Andrea doing pretty decently himself. And as you were mentioning about like famous moments that happen at this track, you mentioned on TB getting a screwed over on a race win because of a car crashing. That wasn't the only time where our car looking pretty strong got screwed over because of a late safety car. Don't forget, a few seasons ago, Reese had that happen when Leon crashed, and it resulted in Scyther, who was in Mercedes at that time, getting the win.
Speaking of Scyther, we're watching Cookie, by the way, but I'm watching him from the Discord. He is a 1/10.5 up through the first sector. He is facing Cookie here in terms of trying to improve. Cookie's improving by a 1/10.5. How much more faster can he go in the final sector, Cookie? George is lagged out again, so his chance at getting a lap in Q3 is done and dusted. But now here comes Cookie. Cookie to the final 2 corners. He's navigating his way through the final corner now, flat out. And here he comes across the line. The provisional pole man improves once again. 10-6. 6/10 ahead of the competition. Scyther's going faster in the second sector. 2/10 up on the time. For Jack, he's improving to 3rd place ahead of Scyther, but Scyther's lap would get him ahead of Reese and Jack both. Here's the final time that Scyther will come across the line this session, it seems, unless he recharges. Here he goes. Scyther, 2nd on our board as Cam has crashed out.
Well, now Cam went back into the pits and he has called it. So Cam is going to be starting in the 7th place spot for him. Andrea is back in the pits and he's done as well. So Ferrari, I mean, depending on how DeChiller does, if he stays within the track limits, Ferrari could be looking at possibly an 8th and 10th starting positions, and that's probably, I mean, I could be incorrect, that's probably one of the worst positions, starting positions for the Ferrari pair this season.
I would agree with that. Reese Dainty's improving slightly in the first sector. We'll switch to who's coming across the line now because TB's completing a lap and TB's starting a lap. DeChiller's the one completing a lap. DeChiller has not had a time clocked in yet, but he needs a decent one at that. Slowest of the ones who've come across the line. TB starts a lap. Reese Dainty, now sector 3, he comes across. And he will have to find out if he can improve ahead of Scyther, who's 2nd, and make it a Red Bull 1-2. They've not had a 1-2 in qualifying or the race this season. McLaren are the team that have had that happen to them. Can Red Bull have that happen to them this time this season? No! Reese Dainty only improves by 16 thousandths, and it's not enough to take on Scyther. Scyther is done, Reese is done, and the only other one to deny Cookie of a pole position will be the fake TB. The fake TB has had some good runs around this circuit we've mentioned. We mentioned those races he got screwed over, but keep in mind, though, as he's going 59 thousandths faster, he'll need to find time in the last sector. He does have a podium around the circuit. The only one coming in the race he was screwed out of a win. But in terms of pole positions, he's looking for his first around this circuit, or else it's going to be Cookie, who takes what will be a 9th pole all time. TB's invalidated, so therefore, Cookie will stand on pole for the 9th time ever in RPL. Just one off of the famous Portly boot.
Oh, so Cookie on
81st.
pole. No Red Bull 1-2 for qualifying. Scyther does that. And TB, unfortunate, he was about 600ths up in sector 2, and if he didn't have the mistake in that final corner, I think he probably could have overtaken Jack to get himself into 4th, but unfortunate mishap And TB will have to settle for 5th to start in this race.
Just a reminder of your standings for those of you who are not with us here prior. McLaren and Red Bull tied at the top of the table, whereas Cookie and Scyther, the gap between them is 16 points with Cookie out in front. George gets back in time for the race, but Ferrari do qualify 7th and 10th only. And here we go. Time for the race in just a moment. Let's give you the strategy before we go over the lineups. Mediums to hards, soft to hards. Your strategy for tonight, 2-stop is possible. Don't know if it'll be the preferred one or not. Soft mediums may be a viable option, but tire wear I think is quite big around here. That's the Hail Mary, though, for soft mediums, considering it's a 33-lap race. Here's our lineup for it. Cookie on pole over Scyther. It's a 10-6, 98 thousandths better than Scyther's pole time last season. Scyther second for McLaren. Red Bull then follow with their second car third, 2 places back with Reese. McLaren's second car, Jack, 2 places back from Scyther. So, see a pattern here? Well, we've got Mercedes, TB. He is 5th. Minko, a surprise qualifying for Aston Martin, P6. Cam, P7. Andrea, P8 on debut. The Chiller, P9. And George Alp Williams, who had a really good run in this race last season, needs to not lag out in the race in order to get himself up in that top 5 area where he was running before a late collision. I mean, the last season here, it was wide open for that podium after Josh lagged out. It became the Chiller, who is at one point in the remaining stages of the race, a 7th at one point, and making some overtakes, and then also getting some stuff handed to him for a podium in this race. So we'll see what those drivers who were running in a podium spot last season, let alone running up there right now in top cars, can do this season.
Well, this should be a very fun race. Looking forward for this, as everyone is getting their setups and everything all set and ready to go. I just noticed that my voice has just gone robotic on the stream.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it isn't? Oh, okay. Yeah.
I said, oh, okay.
Oh, jeez. George is getting the Reese treatment today. Just saying it.
I'm going to try to invite him back before this gets underway for the lights out. Here we go. I got him. All right. So, like I said, 4 different strategies you can pull around the circuit. By the way, the pit stop loss, 20.5 seconds. You gain back over 20% in the pit lane here. So even if you're using your battery quite a bit, it may not matter too much after all. The main straight overtaking opportunity is very frequent. Overtaking opportunity into Sector 3, turn number 10, also very frequent. Those are your only 2 DRS straights, and we're now just waiting for lights out. And then away we'll go.
This will be fun. I'm actually
Here they
curious to see.
come. Any second now. The 5 lights are coming on for the Spanish Grand Prix. Round number 8 of the season is underway now. Pedal to the metal we go. Cookie off the line. He will cover off Scyther very well, but the battle is for second place to try to cover it off. The Aston gets shoved to the grass. That's between Cam and the Chiller, but now Cookie has a comfortable lead as now Scyther and Reese go side by side at turn number 2, and into turn number 3 they will remain side by side. Yellow flags further on back. It's Zatsy involved in some melee, and cars are spinning. TB, Jack, the 2 around, but now Scyther's trying to hold on for second place. Reese dives it up the inside, and Reese goes through. Reese with a big lunge. It pays off massively to make it Red Bull 1-2, but Scyther back down the inside, and it's still not up between these 2. It's side by side for second and third, which also could become the podium places soon, with Cam up to 4th, Minico 5th, Andrea 6th, and Florian 7th, but trouble at the back of the field for George, who's lagged out. Tadpole's lost tons of time to the pack of cars there. TB, Jack, and Zatsy, the 3 who got caught out most on lap 1 trouble.
Yeah, the wild thing was TB and Jack were running 4th and 5th as they were going through turn number 2. They must have came together, and that's why they're all the way back down. They both went for a spin in the beginning of turn number 3. But Cookie coming across the line to kick off lap number 1. leads the charge, almost a second clear of Reese, with Scyther in pursuit, turning in third. Right now, Minico also in the fifth place spot, doing good for him. Right behind his teammate, going down the inside against Florian. The Chiller up in P7, and Be Good cleared FRC Nice. Be Good, by the way, started at P20. He's now up to P9 in just over a lap.
Be Good showing others how to be good here on the opening lap. 11 places for him. That's impressive. The big losers become TB and Jack, down over 10 places, 25 plus combined, and George is still not having it his way. He's lagged out again, and Be Good is now looking to pick off the pieces on Florian now, who's been impressive this season when he's raced for AlphaTauri, outperforming that car, but Be Good is going to pick him off in no time. With the battery being applied, he's already below 15% as he dives up the inside. Side by side, there was a little bit of contact made, but now he's squirrely trying to make the overtake. He can't make the move stick. He's going to have to wait a little longer, but this is surely going to happen in no time with how much faster the Mercedes is than the AlphaTauri.
Yeah, and in that corner, in turn number 11, Be Good got that right rear on the curb, got a little loose. That's why Florian got a little bit ahead. Cookie sets another fast lap. Now DRS is now enabled, but the crazy thing is, Cookie just ahead of out of the DRS range against his teammate, and Reese, the same thing with Scyther. Yeah, Be Good, by the way, already drained pretty much almost all of his battery, just to say so. Another driver that's gone through a lot of his battery, the Chiller as well, and Cam's gone around.
Cam in trouble, and it comes at turn number 5, and he re-enters almost in the path of Tadpole, but he's back there with his teammate and TB and Jack, former Ferrari drivers.
I wonder what happened with Cam. I know Minico was right behind him. Did Minico make contact, or did Cam lose it on his own? I didn't see how close the two were beforehand, but yeah, both Ferraris not having a good time. Cam losing it in turn 5, and George just can't seem to stay in the session. He's getting the Reese treatment.
Andrea has DRS applied on the main straight, following Minico, the two highest runners on hards of the 5. He almost gives him a little tap there at turn number 1, but further on back, it's Tadpole making the move on Zakaria. He clips the curb and almost goes into him. He may have just had a bit of front wing come off right there if he wasn't careful with that, because now he's got the other Ferrari that we're mentioning, since we mentioned George, of Cam, trying to take this one on the inside line. Battery being applied, diving it up the inside and taking the place, and now collision.
I wonder if that was netcode, because there was a little bit of a buffer space between Cam and Tadpole. I think that might have been a netcode collision.
Well, if it wasn't, then TB just spun Tadpole.
Good, by the way, down the inside of Florian.
That is 13 places for this guy already. It's unbelievable. I mean, 20th on the grid, qualifying ban, a car that is absolutely shocking around here. Josh almost took it to a podium last season. Now DRS for him on the Chiller for what's going to be 14 places already. If he could just make it stick, he's now through. And next target will be Andrea and his teammate, Minico. Academy teammate for Be Good, but teammate for the Chiller. And now a spinner, Cam around again. Safety car.
Yeah, Cam into the wall. And he's done.
Oh.
Cam got stuck, tried to reverse, but because he was in the white line of the pit exit, Cam has been disqualified from the event. The Ferrari's day is done.
14 places on the opening lap. That's better than Reese's the 17 he gained throughout the race in Mexico right now. It's insane the amount Be Good has gained. He's doing the Mercedes Academy a favor, but the safety car being out is surely going to compromise some of these guys who are not on soft tires, such as Be Good, Reese, and Cookie.
Man, oh man, this is just insanity in its finest, and looks like looks like we might have a double stack as the Red Bulls are in.
Minako's in, which is a surprise because he's on hards, and the Chiller is double stacking now. Bourbon's in. Who else is coming in? Locking up from him. Jexter's in. TB's in. Okay, a lot more drivers are pitting than I thought.
I think it's all the soft tire guys.
Well, there's only 3 who started on softs, though.
You sure? I thought it was
Yes,
more than
I'm
that.
absolutely sure.
Yeah, Cookie. Yeah, Cookie was on softs. He's gone to mediums. Reese, soft to medium. Oh, Miniko was on hards.
Jack just got compromised, I think, from Darius, maybe from what I'm hearing. But Darius, with that double stack, did get affected because he lost more places. He's behind Be Good. He's behind Bourbon. I mean, that's the best way for Be Good to kind of pick it off. Because, I mean, he could have been overtaken by the Chiller right there if it weren't for a double stack. In the pit lane, at least. Just a reminder, George's the only runner on soft tires here from the start now still. He's trying to join back, but our races remaining this weekend only include Formula Endurance, Miami tomorrow. But next week for Tier 2, we go to Austria, and then F1 for our return to France since the last time in Season 7 when Joseph Loke won there. Now an F3 driver. Good to see him on the F3 grid from his time in RPL.
When all their race, when all the main stuff kicks off in Bahrain, basically pretty much in basically roughly a month from now, I'll be resubscribing to F1 TV, and I'll be able to watch all the races, F3, F2, and F1. I'll catch everything live on my phone or on my laptop.
Yeah, here come more drivers into the pit lane now. Under the safety car, getting their pit stops out of the way. George, Zakaria. Let's see who's yet to pit out of those drivers. We've got the top 5, obviously, with Cookie having to get his way through them at some point. Shanghai is 7th. Zatsy's 10th. And that'll be it for the drivers you have to stop in this race. We'll keep it on the tires for those of you folks wanting to know. But an insane start from Be Good. Now going to have to be redone in some form because although he's net P4, he is P11 on our grid right now. And he's had 2 P4 finishes, including last week with all those penalties too. But he's never had a podium just yet. Some suspicion about him drivers have had, starting from last week onwards, with not rear locking in the hairpin but still finding tons of time. Made some drivers a bit questionable about him, but those 14 places on the start were definitely ones that either make you question him or make you proud to see it as a Mercedes team principal, which is now wavy.
It's possible, but I just checked the F1 driver chat on what happened to Cam back on lap 3. The right rear got onto the curb in the braking zone of turn number 4, and his rear's locked up, and he went for a spin. That's why Cam had that first spin back on lap 3.
Gotcha. That makes sense now. I'm just watching this. Yup. Auto spin right there. Surprised to see that. But Scyther, our leader, out of the top 5, him and 3 others are on mediums. Andrea on hards. Let's see what happens here as Scyther is waiting a very long time to get going. Now he's pedal to the metal. Green flag back in the air. And battery already starting to be drained from Scyther. As we go on to lap number 8 of this race with the green flag waving. Moves trying to be made from Cookie already. Here he comes on J&T. The move is made from him. Reese also trying to make moves on Shanghai. These moves need to be made immediately. Be Good in the background as well. Reese gets the move done. Next is Miniko around the outside of the Academy teammate. He's going to try at turn number 2. How about that? That was absolutely ballsy. Now it's Be Good getting Zatsy, and Be Good's boxed in from the teammate. Spinner, it's Jackster. But Be Good going up 2 more places on the restart. He's had an insane start. Cookie also getting an insane restart. 2 places. Zatsy and Shanghai both yet to pit, so we'll watch out for them in terms of how they cause a blockage here, because Bourbon has already pitted. He's going around the outside now of the Williams. Now the Aston going around the outside of the Mercedes. TB is going ahead because DeChiller was boxed in right there, and DeChiller still boxed in from the Academy teammate. 3 different cars, same Academy. Now Cookie taking off Andrea, second place in this race, around the outside. He's gonna try to do this the long way around, and can he pull it off? Andrea's on hards, Cookie's on mediums. Cookie does pull it off, and next target becomes the race leader. The action still not stopping. J&T sliding because contact with Minico. Bourbon and Zazzy side by side. Zakaria battling George at the back of the field. It's everywhere you go with action.
Yeah, no matter where you're looking, you just see fights happening everywhere and everything as Reese goes down the inside of Knights to get himself into 5th place. And Be Good does the same thing with G&T to put himself in the 8th place.
Oh, big race down to turn 1. DeChiller hops the curb and almost goes into Zatsy. Zatsy getting squeezed right there, and Jack can't find no way through. That would have been treacherous for him. And now Minico for P6 on FRC Knights will take over 6th place. That is net P3 looking for a first podium. Now TB and Bourbon also racing wheel to wheel, but up in front of that, 2 Academy teammates play it safe with Reese and Florian. Florian now hopefully going to play a big favor to Reese. Reese will need that. It's currently a net P1 and P2 for Red Bull as now Cookie tries to take on our race leader. It's still not stopping because Jack Miles is ahead of Zatsy. And for the lead, here comes Cookie pulling out to the outside line. Now going to pull a cutback. It's going to work for him. Side-by-side action still. These two who collided in Monaco for the race lead, but have much respect once more. Move is made then and there. Florian and Minico side by side at the penultimate corner. You usually don't see that. Minico switch back inside. He threatened him. And now the DRS applied. Reese Dainty with Andrea. Further on back, Be Good was making some moves. But now Minico is up to P5. Andrea back down a place. Spinner. It's Zatsy. Sorry, it's Shanghai. But now J&T just in behind TB. He'll have to negotiate his way through as well. He's one who's not stopped. Be Good has stopped, and he's passing Florian now.
Yeah, Be Good is just really putting a stomping on here as he gets his way back up into 6th place. But yeah, what a tantalizing 2 laps for the safety car restart. There was just battles happening everywhere and everywhere. It was, I think for us both, it was hard to keep track on which piece was going on where.
I wanted to give you a chance, but I'm like, you know, I'm wondering what's going to happen next. And here's what's going to happen next. Minico, yes, on Andrea, and TB on Florian, Bourbon on J&T. They're all going side by side in the same exact way, 3 different times in the same corner. And now DeChiller on J&T. He pulls off that move around the outside. Next is Jack Miles to take him on. And Be Good already up to P5 as Andrea goes off the road, comes back on, having to slot in behind. This is already a chaotic Spanish Grand Prix with Jack Miles now getting J&T. 2 former teammates in the same academy. How about Bourbon and Knights? Side-by-side race to turn number 1. Wheel to wheel they go, and now they back out for turn number 2 with Bourbon coming out ahead. Tadpole and George. George going to go the long way around, but Tadpole is inside of him.
Oh my lord. Yeah, Tadpole just inside of George. That's on his end, to be fair on there, as Shanghai done for the day, the 2nd DNF of this race. And Jack, by the way, cleared Knights to get himself into 11th. Now has to take on the Chiller to get himself into the points as the Chiller goes very wide. And Reese, by the way, clears Scyther.
Just saw that as well. That was a very clean move there from Reese and a very easy DRS pass. We'll see a lot of that tonight, but the yellow flags are still out for Shanghai, who's retired in the pit lane. Hopefully they go away soon so we can see some more overtaking into turn 1.
This piece is going to be a little bit interesting. The AlphaTauri teammates going in and switching things up as Knights has decided to make his stop and get off of those medium tires to get himself onto the hards. And the Chiller clears his teammate Florian, gets himself into 8th.
What the heck? The Williams that retired is on the racing line.
I just noticed that too.
All right. Well, Cookie mentioned it before anyone else because he realized it right as he was going through. So Jack Miles just sitting in behind these two. And now DeChiller collides with Florian. And Jack makes him go out of the race. And now DeChiller's been off as well from that. That was absolutely catastrophic from DeChiller. I don't know what he was doing going late in the brakes. I don't know if he was trying to avoid hitting him. But DeChiller got collected. Jack got collected. And Florian, the worst off of that. He's out of this race as Bourbon now gets Andrea.
Oh,
that
man,
was absolutely
that was
suicidal
just so
from DeChiller.
bad. And Florian is not happy in the slightest.
I don't blame him. Here is Scyther and Minico and Be Good having a 3-car race down to turn 1. How about 3 abreast for just a moment? It's Scyther ahead, Be Good ahead of the Academy teammate. Further on back, Jack Miles, who had a bit of incident just a little bit ago, also getting ahead of Andrea. Andrea losing places after his little shenanigans, staying out there for a little bit. He's playing it nice compared to others who've stayed out. But my goodness, what a race on our hands, because now 4 cars under a blanket to turn number 5. Be Good and Minico racing side by side as Scyther gets a little bit of a tap from Be Good. Be Good on the inside line of Minico now. Minico has to concede the place as Be Good takes over 4th place and holds on for net P3 on those hard tires, which, by the way, if my math is correct, has a chance to go to the end of the race.
Yeah, it's highly possible, but yeah, this gap here between these 4, Scyther, Be Good, Minico, and TB. TB going down the inside against Minico. That's highly crazy.
Whoa! Be Good,
Man.
making a move at the penultimate corner. Now, 4-car race to turn number 1. Scyther's tires already wearing, but he's still not going to worry about that because he's going to go for it. Minico, too, around the outside. It's going to be his place, but now TB uses the runoff a lot. He has to avoid hitting all 3 of them and comes back on in front of Jack Miles by a long, long margin.
I think TB saw his teammate on the inside, but misjudged his braking, and he had to take to the runoff of turns 1 and 2. That's why now TB now has to reclaw some of it back. But what a brawl between Scyther, Minico, and Be Good.
Yeah, if some people are questioning Be Good at this point, I mean, I'm going to go on board with him while I have to go AFK, and we'll look at the throttle inputs or anything like that if anyone becomes anything skeptical of it, because I have to say, that move at the penultimate corner, I'm not skeptical of that at all. I'll tell you that. But it was a good move, as Minico has to give way for the Academy teammate to make the most of it. And now, was that illegal? Because now I think they're just weaving and bobbing and jogging all over the place there. A little bit of dance moves from Scyther, Be Good, and Minico, all in the final sector right there. I'll give it to you, Titan, because I have to go AFK quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on board with Be Good as he's working his way down the inside, getting wheel to wheel with Scyther, getting it through there. 3 abreast! Minico down the inside. Ooh, tight. Minico gets clear of Scyther, but can't get past his teammate to Be Good. Be Good up in the 3rd place. Minico in 4th. Scyther falls to 5th. Here comes TB down the inside to try to take the place, and he does so. In the span of 4 corners, Scyther loses 3 places. But to be fair, that is because of Scyther being on much older tires, and Scyther's inside TB, trying to fight back that position and get that 5th place back. And looks like he will get that, but as everyone gets the DRS active here, I think it's is it TB that's having a bit of a desync problem? I think it might be, but anyways, TB still fighting off with Scyther here as he gets nice and tight, gets it in there, and he does so. TB up into 5th. Florian not happy with what happened earlier. He's gone from the session. Unfortunate there, but yeah, Be Good. But what a wild turn into turn number 1 with 2 Mercedes Academy cars up against Scyther, and Be Good came out the better.
It's absolutely insane the way this race has gone from that early safety car. We're now halfway. What'd you say?
Looks like TB got a little too rambunctious with the inner curb of turn number 2. Got really loose, but still kept it together. Only lost just a little bit to Minico, but I mean, he's still holding on. He's still holding on. And meanwhile, I mean, towards if you're looking at towards the front, people, Cookie almost 6 seconds ahead of Reese.
Oh, so Scyther is saying that TB's internet is not that great, which is why he can't focus following TB behind him. So this is really interesting now. It's a Red Bull 1-2 currently. We've not talked a lot about them, but it's Cookie leading Reese by 6 seconds over Be Good, then P3.
Yeah, currently at this moment, and I believe Cookie does have the fastest lap. Yes, he does by 0.05 of a second over Reese. So Red Bull is looking at max points, and they will retake. They are going to retake firmly in the constructor's lead, and Cookie will extend his championship lead over Scyther, and George just cleared Bourbon to get himself into P8. Now, this is another driver we haven't talked about in a long time. George had internet problems since Q3, but it seems that the internet problems has completely fizzled out, and he is all good to go, and now he is back in the points.
Yeah, if I would not give Driver of the Day to Be Good, and if I ignore what he's done thus far, I would have gave it to George based on him staying in the session and kind of recovering as the current moment. DeChiller and Zetzi having a little side-by-side race to turn number 5. DeChiller, don't collide here. You've already had it happen once. Zetzi this time is the one on the inside, and they both come out scot-free.
Yeah, absolutely, and let's see, let's take a look here as TB is still trying to hunt down Minico. Hopefully, maybe look for Mercedes 3-4 possibly.
Reese's tire wear is definitely falling off. He's at 6.6 behind Cookie, and Cookie's lapping quite a bit faster now that we've got further into the run. It's insane.
Ooh.
All right, so we know when Cookie's coming in at least, or at least I do. Gonna be in the next 6 or so laps. And these guys on mediums, by the way, well, obviously Scyther and J&T haven't pitted yet. Zetzi has now. The thing with mediums is they can go 18 to 22 laps, so no surprise there that they can't stretch it the rest of the way. You can at least try, but I don't think it's gonna work out for most of these guys here. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, especially for the guys currently on the mediums that they have been on since the start of the race, like Scyther and J&T on the mediums, Andre on the hards. They're gonna wind up pitting very shortly, that's for sure. Now I don't know. Let's see, with 14 laps to go, I don't know.
Scyther's in. Scyther's in, and by the way, out of those guys, TB had the best ERS, but Scyther making his first pit stop of this race. One of 3 drivers yet to pit. Now he's in. Sorry to cut you off there, Titan, but I saw it from his onboard there, and he's going for the soft tires right now. He's doing a medium to soft here, and those soft tires, by the way, should go the rest of the way.
Very interesting there. Now, one thing I want to know, currently the drivers are they're currently on the 13 lap set of their mediums, like Cookie, Reese, Minico, TB, Bourbon. Could they possibly go to the end on this? Because, I mean, they're looking at probably 26 laps on those mediums. Could they make it or no?
I don't think they can, because I think Scyther just came in after 18 laps of his mediums and was on 60% from what I'm hearing from the drivers talking about it. If that's the case, then I really don't think any of them can stretch this out.
TB's in,
but TB is in. So yeah, I mean they're having to basically do 2 stops at this point as Scyther gets to Chiller now for 14th place, but I think Be Good and Jack have played their cards quite well going on to hards. I mean, they were kind of put in that position anyway. As for Cookie, Reese, Minico, George, Bourbon, J&T's yet to pit, so we're not going to talk about him. We'll talk about Zakaria then instead. Those guys, the car with the best tire wear, they have a chance to make it to the end. A little bit better, but... And that's the Red Bull with best tire wear. But all things considered right now, I think you're risking a puncture if you're going the full way here because, what, there's 13 laps remaining? You'd have 26, 27 laps in those mediums. They go about 18 to 22 laps till you get a puncture. So, I mean, JNT will kind of tell us how far he thinks those can go before he pits soon here. Unless he's going to go for the softs like Scyther right now. Who knows? I'm interested to see it, Titan. I'm telling you. I don't know for sure because even with, what, 18 laps? It was 60% for Scyther right there? Yeah, Minako is. There you go.
I mean, anything is likely because, I mean, as you mentioned, Jack and Be Good being on those hards, they should be perfectly fine to go the rest of the way on the compound that they are. Another driver, I mean, we kind of overshadowed him on this as well. Tadpole, he should be good as well. Andrea just went in. By the way, he went 20 laps on those hard compound tires. So he finished it. He got his first stop, and he comes out in 14th. But yeah, 20 laps on those hards.
You can do 21 to 25 laps on those hards before you risk a puncture or start falling off a cliff. So just to put that out there for perspective, by the way. I'm going to calculate the percentage you wear on each of these tires for just good measure. I mean, softs I'm not even going to worry about right now, but I'm going to worry about the mediums and hards because that's what most of these guys are on. By the way, for reference, if if Cookie pits now, which he's looking to do soon, he will come out ahead of Bourbon, but behind Jack. So we're going to watch
Jack's
for
in,
that.
actually.
Jack is in. Yeah, so is Bourbon.
Same with
But
Bourbon.
he would come out where they were, by the way, which will now be P4. So just something to watch out for. We'll see what happens. We see Be Good has the tool set to be pitting soon. I'm going to calculate this, but just so you have in the back of your mind too, hards wear 3% a lap, mediums wear 3.5% a lap.
I mean, if
JNT's right
Be
behind
Good
Tadpole,
can
that's
manage
what
his
he's gonna
tire wear, I think maybe he might be okay, but he is going to run the risk of being under attack by the Red Bulls, probably right smack dab at the end. It is possible he could. He'll have at least a 9-second gap over Cookie, but I'm not sure what's going to happen there as Cookie and Reese, they are still staying out. At this moment, well, Cookie's still staying out. Reese, don't know if he's coming in. Oh, yes, he is.
All right. There's your answer. Reese is
And Be
giving
Good's
the
going
undercut
in.
over Cookie. Be Good is coming in. I'm surprised about that. I'm not even going to calculate what he could do to the end of this point. I'm going to do Tadpole. Tadpole staying out. So right now, Tadpole is on 50-ish% tires wear. As for Cookie, Cookie is on 60-ish%, depending on how he's played the cards. Race in the main straight, TB and Scyther. TB going through on Scyther. George sets the fastest lap for Ferrari, but TB makes the move stick, and he is now just behind Reese Dainty, who comes out on softs. This is the race now for second place. Be Good comes out as well on softs, further on back behind, but a part of this train for a podium now is Minako. Trying to become the first Canadian to get a podium in RPL Tier 1. I know you said Ads is Canadian, but he isn't. Ads is a different nationality, which I'm just going to check that now. Ads is British.
Oh.
There you go.
I swear I thought he was Canadian because he did have a Canadian flag during
At one point in the game,
during one of the
he
games.
was, yeah. Cookie stays out again. Ooh, he has the gap to do so. He comes out in second place right now if he pits. And where his battery's at, I mean, he's almost fully charged at that point. J&T.
You can just like completely unleash it all the way. Reese will get DRS help courtesy of J&T as J&T goes in, completed 22 laps on those mediums.
Reese, because of that, now gets TB out of DRS. Jack Miles with the fastest lap of the race into Chiller and George. Two drivers who are not a fan of one another race down to turn 1, figuring it out. Also, Reese gets Tadpole, excuse me. That is second place as Andrea and Bourbon will race for what is going to be the first place outside the points.
Yeah, 11th place between those two. But then again, the Chiller could possibly wind up pitting. Because, I mean, Tadpole is still out there. The Chiller's still out there. 18 laps on those hard tires. With approaching 9 to go in this race, anything is possible as TB goes down on the inside of Tadpole, on the outside of Tadpole, gets up into 3rd place. And Tadpole now has to deal with Scyther right behind, so
Academy
Scyther
teammates
could possibly get some help.
Yes, he can. DRS applied for both Tadpole and Scyther. Scyther gets ahead of Tadpole, but what does he do in terms of Minico? Minico will have to stay behind. Scyther also following TB at turn 1. This is the battle now for the podium. Scyther and TB. TB scored points every round this season. Scyther, can't say the same about him. He's missed a race. Bourbon ahead of DeChiller now. Tadpole also trying to still duke it out with Minico, but Minico takes over P5 and right now is on for a good finish, but goes wide. And that could have been race ending, but it wasn't. His teammate now, DeChiller, is battling for P11, and he races wheel to wheel with Andrea, who takes him on. DeChiller, just like Tadpole, may have to pit soon here.
Yeah, that was a scary moment for Minico.
Oh! Be good. Got Tadpole at turn number 9 at the right moment, and now he's within DRS. Sorry to cut in. That was really good move.
Minico had a scary moment at the exit of turn number 4, but how he kept that car in control is surprising beyond a doubt. No doubt there. As Cookie is now done with his pit stop, he is now back out onto the track on a brand new spanking set of sauce. It's in turn number 2 now as Reese is entering turn number 1.
Let's find out if Be Good gets DeChiller, or not DeChiller, Minico quickly enough. It's an Aston Martin, right? But it's not DeChiller, it's Minico, who's having a really good run today. And Be Good Fancy's going down the inside. They're going to be side by side at turn number 4. And he will go for the lunge and makes it work. I don't even know if Minico is letting him go or not, but move complete from Be Good. And yellow flags, that is for Zakaria, who's not had a really good race. But he's 17th, though, with that spin. Gap for the lead because that undercut, though, by the way, from Reese has come down to 3.9. Don't think anything will happen to Cookie, but just something to make note of if anything happens later on. Currently a Red Bull 1-2.
Yeah, no doubt in my mind. A definite Red Bull 1-2. And possibly we could be looking at a Mercedes 3-4 as Scyther was in the chase to hunt down TB. But look out behind you. You got Be Good on your tail. And literally Be Good right up the back, right up the exhaust of Scyther. But Scyther pours on that raw speed against TB and he gets it done. Scyther back up in the 3rd place.
Further behind, Andrea has DRS down the main straight on Bourbon and is now trying to take that on the main straight, but that's closer for 3rd place now. We got to go back to that. Be Good is falling behind TB, but he can't make the move until turn 4 where he dives it up the inside, and on those fresher soft tires, he will be P4 once again and trying to go for one spot better. A first podium is on the cards here for Be Good, up 16 places now.
Yeah, Be Good is on something else, that is for sure. TB having lag spikes affecting him in this matter as Be Good tries to send it down the inside against Scyther, slingshots it down, and he can get it for now, but can he hold it? Scyther with a switchback, trying to get the place back, just can't seem to get it done. Be Good overtakes Scyther, gets himself into the podium place, 17 spots since the start.
That is insane, and following the dirty air in the final corner is a bit tricky for Scyther, but he's not going to back down from it. He wants to go for the move, and he's going to go for the move now. Slingshot engaged, and now through into third place once again. It is now the driver who's won most around the circuit. It's Scyther. And speaking of that, B-Good's going to try to go back for it. Turn 3, better grip around this corner. Scyther's going to give the squeeze, but not for long, because B-Good will still keep it down the inside. And now goes too deep. Scyther takes advantage, and there's a little bit of a pinch right there. More contact, more banging. B-Good down the inside. Minico's there to pounce on TB. B-Good squeezes Scyther to the curb. And he got a warning for it too. And now TB's through on Minico.
I wonder if the overtake on that B-Good did on Scyther is any good, because I mean he did get ahead at the exit of it, but I'm not sure. I mean, could he possibly face trouble with the sewers for that? Possibly, I don't know. Anything is possible. Scyther now on the cusp of trying to claw back and try to regain that lost ground. He will get that into DRS. As Scyther, I mean, he's got. I know this. He's got better wing setup as he's just roaring down that DRS straight down the inside, gets in there and flies ahead into back into third place. I mean, that McLaren, I think with the right wings, Scyther is just a damn rocket on that main straight.
Jack Miles breezes past Tadpole as well, and now B-Good is still not done. Here he goes. Which way does he pull this? Around the outside. He's going to have to wait a little longer, but he is just continuing to threaten Scyther right here. Scyther said, by the way, in the voice chat I'm in right now, along with the drivers, just muted, he wants to appeal that warning if he ends up picking up a track limit penalty. Here goes B-Good again. More overspeed at turn number 9 right there allows him to close up, and Scyther wiggles. Scyther goes wide, and then now compromises B-Good, and TB goes through on both of them. But now Scyther up the track. He's caught in the middle. TB now banging with Scyther, and now he's got a penalty.
I was on board with B-Good. B-Good gave Scyther a little bump and run. Tried to do a bump and run on Scyther, which then had Scyther clip off of TB. Well, here we go again. The war between these two.
Minico side by side with B-Good. They almost come to collision, similar to last season with George and Crispy. Minico off. B-Good made contact with Minico, and if he's at fault for that, he could be facing a race ban based on penalty points.
Oh, man. Yeah, B-Good, as I was saying, ooh, TB gets loose out of turn number 4, and B-Good want to try to take advantage to get past his teammate, but TB still staying in it. Now, TB, I believe that penalty that he's got could be appealed because Scyther wanted to bump, got a little wiggle, had a little wiggle, and hit and bumped into TB. That's why he went off and got that penalty. So I think most likely, possibly, TB could get that penalty appealed and have that 3-second taken down if he doesn't get another warning.
Interesting. Here we go once again on the main straight. B-Good following TB, but not for much longer. Is B-Good going to duck out? He's not anywhere near because TB has better wings, it seems, on the run to turn 1. Trying to chase after Scyther, can't make the move. Minico has Jack Miles for company now because of that collision there in the battle for podium. Last season, flashbacks right here to a race for a podium, but now it's happening for much longer. Nice little scrap here.
Yeah, very nice scrap indeed, as Minico came out just a tiny bit worse up against that battle with B-Good, as Jack is eyeing up to possibly go for 6th place. Now, between Minico and Jack, this is basically 8 points up for grabs here, as these guys are working their way through. Meanwhile, we saw that fight up for 3rd right now between Scyther, TB, and B-Good. It's just wild.
By the way, Luke previous Mercedes driver wondering why TB is not letting Be Good through. I mean, TB does have a penalty. He's got a point, but he's also got to hold on here in case of any penalties, which could drop him behind. Other penalties I'm talking. Here goes TB now on the run to get Scyther at turn 1. He gets the move done. Jack Miles has also thrown Minico with just 2 laps remaining. Cookie, a 10-second lead now.
Well, I mean, I'm not speaking it in regards to it, but this is just words that I've been hearing from other drivers. TB, in regards to doing team orders and working with teammates, on occasion, there have been instances of TB being known to being fairly difficult to work with in regards to following team orders and stuff. So, I mean, that could be an answer to Luke's question. But then again, this is just words that I've been hearing from some of the drivers in like the past, but I cannot confirm or deny if the words being heard are true or not.
Andrea and Bourbon both get P9 and P10 because George is having issues once again. I don't believe he's in the session any longer.
No,
so
he
now
isn't.
we start
He
the
left.
final lap. Here is Scyther with DRS on TB. He wants to get this move done in case he appeals that penalty, but TB is lagging, so that's a little bit of a mistake for him. But here goes Scyther. Scyther on the move, inside line, side by side at turn 1, nearly a collision. Scyther has to be careful. He now has Be Good there for company. This is still not over, and Be Good just pushing him through turn 3. TB, a little bit unpredictable. You can now see the lag visible on stream rather than me just watching Scyther's screen, but now he can't get him by turn 4. And Jack Miles and Minico still have a battle for P6 ongoing. Cookie to the final sector now.
Yep, that is for sure. Cookie looking, he's doing pretty good. He's going to go for another win, that's for sure.
Here he comes. Cookie has won from pole 5 times previously. He's going to win from it a 6th time today and adds another one to the list. Cookie wins in Spain. He does it by a staggering 10 plus seconds, and Reese will make it a Red Bull 1-2, his best finish of the season. Congrats to Reese for 2nd place. The battle still goes on for 3rd place. TB gets it on track, but Scyther will hold on over Be Good, and Be Good comes up just short of a podium once again for what is the 3rd time now. Tadpole, the one who holds that record for 4th place finishes, now comes home P8, realizing he's going to have that tied with Be Good. Andrea on debut comes home for P9, Bourbon P10, Jack Miles, by the way, we didn't mention he was P7, just behind Minico, P6, J&T outside the points, and they still race onwards behind that for other spots outside the points. They could get promoted if anything happens to others inside the points due to any penalties from the stewards. George fell down to P16, not the way he would have wanted to end. The most places gained, though, was Be Good, 16 spots from last, a qualifying ban.
Yeah, absolutely. Be Good. Very strong showing from him to finish in 4th, but that is unofficial before the penalties get put into applied, and the game does give him driver today because of that. But I mean, technically at the moment, he is potentially a driver today contender. That is for sure. But there's also Minico as well. He had a pretty solid run in this race as well. Was fighting for a potential podium, but unfortunately a mishap with Be Good wound up dashing that. And the wild part is before TV's penalty, just want to note, no one in this race got a track limit penalty. And if TB's penalty does get removed, I think this is going to be the first race in a while that no one has ever gotten a track limit penalty at all.
He deserves the credit for it, TB does, if he does get that removed. And so do the other drivers for their showings today. Here's your final results. The first Red Bull 1-2 of the season comes at the expense of a Cookie and Reese lineup. 12 seconds he pulled away at the end. Scyther P3, Be Good P4, coming up short once again. TB in the top 5 as well. A good performance from him. Had that penalty though. Minico, Jack, Tadpole, Andrea, Bourbon round out the points. And here are your other runners who did not finish, including the likes of Cam, Shahai, and Florian. Only one safety car this race, but once again, we're getting better on those finishers in Tier 1. Probably the best we've had it. Season 9 and Season 10. To say the least. By the way, for those of you going to tune off now, we have just a few more things to go off of, or go off on. The one thing I will say prior to you guys jumping off is that we race tomorrow in Formula Endurance at Miami. I was about to say F2. It's Tier 2, excuse me. No more F2. Tier 2 is at Austria for next week's race on Friday. And next week for F1, we are in France for the action. We return there for the first time since Season 7. Joseph Loke, our last winner there. We'll make sure to honor that when we start the stream, because he's now a Formula 3 driver. Congratulations to him. But, yeah, lots of things to look forward to tomorrow and even next week. Final thoughts on the race, and who is your driver of the day, Titan?
I mean, technically, given unofficially, if he is not going to be involved in anything like troubling with the stewards, I would say Be Good for his last
Agreed.
to fourth run. But I'd say if I had to say different, in regards to someone not being involved, possibly being in trouble with the stewards, I'm probably will just play it safe. I'm probably going to give it to Minico.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would say Minico would be too. I'll give a clause here, okay? If Be Good does not get penalized, he keeps driver of the day. If he does get penalized, I give it to Minico as well. I agree with you on that. Insane
I will
the amount
back
of
you on
places he
that one.
gained.
I will back you on that.
Insane for Be Good. You know, I'm a little concerned with the Xbox, or not the Xbox name, the PC name, but that's beside the point. That's off topic. And as for Minico, he had a really good run for Aston Martin, and he helped a lot of people, from what the drivers in that iRacing voice chat and the Discord are saying. So fair play to Minico, and he also helped himself from it too, because he finished P6 in that battle with Jack. And if it weren't for that collision, you gotta wonder, was he gonna be the one P4 instead of Be Good? I don't know. He was really doing everything he could. He even let Be Good go, and Be Good still collided with him. So a lot of questions to be raised right there on why that happened, but that's between two Academy teammates who are not going to be too happy with one another. And my final thoughts on the race, well, just like last season, we had a fight for the podium, and, you know, also like last season too, the winner seems to pull a staggering margin once again for race victory. Cookie cannot be stopped, and Scyther coming home, what, P3 right there at the end?
Yep.
Losing 10 points to Cookie, 11 with fastest lap. It should be a concern if Scyther does not finish second a lot more often. I mean, he's had a lot more seconds recently, of course, but I'm saying a lot more often after today. And Reese doing that favor for Red Bull, going to extend that constructors lead for them over McLaren. That's some things to watch out for. We have a lot of things to watch out for here in RPL. We'll tune off in order for you to look at all those on all of our socials. Tomorrow is Formula Endurance, the 100% race around Miami, our home race, Titan. We'll have to have the viewers tune in for that and see what happens tomorrow. We'll update you on things such as commentary lineups, drivers racing, etc. But for next week in F1, we are in France. If that's the next time you choose to tune in, we'll see you then. If it's tomorrow for Formula Endurance and Miami, we'll still see you then. Until next time, Ryan Searles, RPL Titan Iron, both Ryans, in fact, if you want to be specific, signing off. We'll see you for next time, whenever that may be on the RPL Twitch. Have a good night or a good evening, wherever you are. Good night.